Riley Cooper, that dude deserves a statue.
Number one on your speed dial.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I didn't know until a couple days after the fact. I was like, wait a minute, is he the MVP? Or we got the all-tournament team?
No doubt about it.
And then Ty Floyd, when I struck out 17, and stole it from him. But I was like, when has a pitcher been a part of 5 of the 6 wins in Omaha? What a performance.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. Yes, sir.
Starting a little late, boys, at the spring game, obviously, as you can see. A couple of booze cruises here to do. Let's fit. Cruise. Grand salami to the boys. Finally back on track. And I got another one coming. Don't you think I don't? And that's how we roll in Tiger Stadium.
Just watching the spring games that were on television, one thing that jumped out about your squad is your quarterback. Is very talented compared to a lot of the league and a lot of the country. I wonder, is it easier to recruit that position when you have talent or when you don't have talent? Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you. Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. There's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question, and I thought, my God, if she gets offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast, no matter where we at, we live. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show, yeah.
Let's go! Let's go!
All right.
Big day. Big day.
Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. Welcome into a Thursday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by our friends over at RMB Builders. Shout out to Rhett Bourgeois and the crew for getting us started every single day. RMB Builders, rmb-builders.com online, or you can find them at RMB Builders on Instagram. Custom design home, new additions, add-ons, you can find them for everything. RMB, commercial or residential. Get in touch with Rhett. We got a good show coming up for you today. We're going to talk to Chris Blair just like we do every single Thursday. Blair will be in here at 8:15 this morning. Steve Schneider in a new role over at the LHSAA with a huge game on tap tonight in the state over at, I believe it's at Zachary. Catholic High is traveling over to Zachary, to North Baton Rouge, to the northern part of the city, and going to take on one of the dominant programs in our state with Coach Brewerton. The LHSAA's got a cool streaming platform that they are going to put and preview the game on tonight. We're going to talk to Steve Schneider, the longtime WAFB sports director, newly retired WAFB sports director, is going to be in here at 8:30 this morning. So looking forward to seeing and talking to the legend Schneider coming up here at 8:30 this morning. As always, our phone line brought to you by Southern Regional Medical Center, Real Doctors, Real Solutions, Charlie Harvey and Jason Ramazan, the entire crew over there. You can find them at Southern Regional Medical Center. We always appreciate their support of the show, as always, and we're live here from Click Here Digital, our campus in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, on Interline Avenue in between Drusilla and Airline Highway, as we get set for an enormous matchup between LSU and Bama coming up on Saturday night. And Stewie, I'm in. Booked my spot last night, secured the tickets. We're making the trip. We're heading over Saturday. Going to do a suicide mission here. We are going to pull in probably about 4:30, do a little tailgating, get the win, then pack back up and head back to Baton Rouge with the win in tow coming back on Saturday night. But looking forward to it. It should be a dynamic atmosphere and a huge matchup. CBS's last primetime game between LSU and Alabama from Bryant-Denny. Man, the closer it gets, the more the feels jump inside, and it is a huge, huge feeling around this matchup coming up on Saturday night. So lots to get to in that. We have some sound, we have no sound, but we got some quotes from both Brian Kelly and Nick Saban talking about this game, the bye week, a little bit of a preview from each side, back and forth at one another. Nick Saban was asked about the 2003 National Championship squad from LSU, which will be honored next weekend in Tiger Stadium, as it is the 20-year reunion, which is nuts to say out loud. If you have heard about our Football Fridays over at the Cook, at Lod Cook, you might want to secure your tickets for next Friday because we've got a who's who of the 2003 reunion that's going to be in. And if you've been to the first couple of events of our Football Friday, it's gone better than we thought it was going to go. Eddie Kennison, Lauren Giffen, and the LSU Alumni Association have done a tremendous job of putting this together. And, of course, when you got a chance to get these guys out and they tell stories, they tell their time at LSU, they tell about their recruiting stories. It's just, it's a lot better than we thought it was going to be, and we thought it was going to be really good. So make sure, and if you are in town for the Florida game next Friday, you want to get over to the LSU Alumni Association and Lod Cook, you can email our friend Lauren Giffen. I'll get you her email address for contact purposes. In fact, let me pull that up real quick so I don't forget about it. But before we jump in to LSU Bama, I do want to talk a little bit about some of the stories outside of this game real quick, as we had a couple of things happen yesterday, and it is Lauren at LSUalumni.org. Lauren at LSUalumni.org for information about our Football Fridays. A couple of things. Stewie, I don't know if you saw this last night. Pelicans came back from 22 down on the road against a good Oklahoma City team and defeated the Oklahoma City Thunder 110-106. Not going to spend a lot of time on this. CJ McCollum had 29. Zion had a loud 22. As he was making his impact on the game on both sides of the ball. And Willie Green in the bench, I thought, deserved a lot of credit for the comeback. Lil Jay and I watched the game last night. Pelicans are impressive. I know that they got beat by 20 by Golden State the other night, and Steph was just nuclear. They were without Brandon Ingram in that game. I'm not making an excuse, but Pellies are fun to watch. They're good. When everybody's healthy, they are a true contender, so heads up. Good win last night, though, for the Pels. It was only the fourth game of the season. They are 3-1 on the year, but 110-106. Big night for McCollum, big night for Zion, big win for Willie Green and the Pels last night. And then also yesterday, when you talk about college basketball, it's not going to take you very long to recap the sport over the last 50, 60 years without getting to Bob Knight pretty quick. And Bobby Knight was a very polarizing figure within the sport, especially later in his career when he was dismissed from Indiana University for It's just some of the ways that he was handling his players. He actually got fired by the way that he handled a student on campus after a student made a remark to him and called him Knight. He grabbed the guy by the arm. He grabbed the kid by the arm, and the student union ended up getting fired because he was on a zero-tolerance policy after video had shown him choking a player at practice. That player actually from New Orleans, Neil Reed, at the center of that entire controversy with Knight. But Knight, a decorated basketball Hall of Famer, had 3 national titles at Indiana. He did have an undefeated season, I believe, in 1976 with his Indiana team. In 1987, Keith Smart, who was a Baton Rouge legend, was the captain on the Hoosiers team. That was a national champ, that same Indiana team that beat LSU in the Elite Eight. That was the press conference. I don't know if you've ever heard the story, Stu. I was still young for this, but the story goes that Knight and Indiana were down big at halftime to LSU in 1987 in the Elite Eight with a trip to the Final Four on the line. The Final Four was actually hosted in New Orleans that year, so LSU had a chance to go to the Final Four in New Orleans. Huge lead at halftime for the Tigers, and Bobby Knight, Keith Smart, and the Hoosiers end up coming back at the end after Fess Irvin misses a crucial free throw attempt, a front end of a 1-and-1, and Smart actually hits the game winner against LSU. And they asked Knight afterwards in the post-game press conference, Coach, were you concerned at halftime when you were down big? And Knight looked out into the press crowd and said, I was concerned for a moment, then I looked over at the other bench and saw Dale Brown was coaching, and I knew we were going to win. So he had some of the great lines, including this story from the 1984 Olympics in talking about Michael Jordan. We ready here, Stewie? This is a Bobby Knight story. Knight was the head coach of the 1984 gold medal Olympic basketball team that played in Los Angeles and was headlined by a young Michael Jordan. And Knight was talking about that summer in coaching the planet's best basketball player.
Half of our game with Spain in 1984 for the gold medal. We're ahead by 29 points. We've played basketball as well as the game can be played. These kids are going to be a little bit satisfied with themselves. They know how well they've played. And when I get to the locker room, I still haven't come up with an answer. I open the door, and the first guy I see is Jordan sitting in front of his locker. Idea light flashes. I say to myself, I'm going to get on Jordan's ass a little bit. And everybody else is going to say, God, if he's upset with Jordan, how's he feel about me? And I look down at him and I say, Mike, when the hell are you going to set a screen? We got 4 guys out there screening when you're in the game, screening to get you open, screening to get each other open. Haven't seen you set a screen yet. The only way I get all 5 guys screening, Mike, is to get you the hell out of the game. Now, when are you going to set a screen? All you've been doing so far, goddammit, is rebounding, passing, and scoring. You need to screen, Mike. Now, Jordan, you've all seen the grin. I mean, it's the greatest grin in the world. Doesn't quite use all of his grin in this circumstance. But he looked up at me and he grins a little bit and he says, Coach, didn't I see last week where you said I was the quickest player you'd ever been around? And I said, Mike, what the hell has that got to do with you screening? Coach, I think I'm setting them quicker than you can see them out there. Well, I was flexible enough to look at Jordan and say, then God damn it, slow him down a little bit so I can see him.
42 years in college basketball, many of them successful, some of them controversial, but at the end of it, Bobby Knight, nicknamed the General, went on to have one of the most illustrious, polarizing, talked about college basketball careers, and we remember him the day after his death, 83 years old yesterday, passing away, and just wanted to make sure that we recognized one of the great basketball minds. Was actually Coach K's basketball coach at West Point, at Army, and of course K went on to become one of the dominant basketball coaches of his generation, which is always a cool tie to Bobby Knight. Had players like Isaiah Thomas play for him. Calbert Chaney was on his team. Still, Steve Alford was a guy that was talked about a lot that came out of Indiana under Knight. But Bobby Knight, 83 years old, passed away yesterday as we remember him here. One other basketball story that we've been monitoring, we knew was going to happen. Yesterday it became official. Jaylen Cook's waiver was denied by the NCAA. This is something that we talked about leading into this, and it is an absolute crime. It's a travesty that this is happening. LSU did put out a statement yesterday about the decision on Cook and said that they were appealing. And this is the entire statement, or not the entire statement, but a summarization of the statement. LSU recently learned that the NCAA denied an immediate eligibility waiver for men's basketball student athlete Jaylen Cook. Since then, we, talking LSU, this is from their statement, have submitted additional information to the NCAA for reconsideration or awaiting the next ruling. We believe strongly in the merit of Jaylen's case for immediate eligibility upon his return to LSU, and we will continue to fight for him. We appreciate the NCAA's emphasis on student athletes' wellness and mental health. Get the hell out of here. And we thank them for their diligence and continued consideration of Jaylen's case. This is a crime, really. Someone up in Indianapolis with the NCAA not only should lose their job, somebody should have their ass kicked, really, for the way that this business is operated. At the NCAA. I mean, first off, the timing of this. This waiver was put in nearly 7 months ago. The basketball season has officially, really, for all intents and purposes, started. Right? Like training camp, practice, all of the preparation of the season has been underway and really kind of in the tank at this point. And the NCAA just has the gall first to issue a statement and their decision at this point of the calendar, which makes absolute zero sense. And there should be some type of protocol put in place where when you put a waiver in, there should be some type of timeline and window that exists where you're going to get the answer back. Whether it's good, bad, whatever it is, you shouldn't have to wait nearly 8 months to find out what the status of your eligibility is. I mean, what do you do in Indianapolis? That is your job, to monitor the eligibility of the student athlete. So when somebody asks you whether or not they're eligible, why does it take nearly a year to tell them whether or not they can play? I mean, how bad of business is that to start off with? Forget the integrity of it, the professionalism of it. Just how bad is the business of that, just to ask for something and then 8 months later get a no questions asked ruling given back on your desk. And then for them to have the authority to say no, that he can't play, just continues to blow my mind. It blows my mind that this business model and this organization was brought in front of our country's highest court. The Supreme Court had Mark Emmert and the NCAA on their floor for a day and obliterated them. Just eviscerated them, dressed them down, told them that what they're doing is illegal. The quote that lives and breathes is one of the Supreme Court justices telling Mark Emmert, this business model is illegal in every country, not just America, where we are free to do whatever we want, practice, business. You can do what you want. This is illegal here. It's also illegal in third world countries around the globe. Yet, 2.5 years later, they still operate. They're still open for business. How? Genuinely, sincerely, how? How can the highest form of our government say, this can't exist? This is illegal. Yet they still operate. They still function. They still have the authority to say, no, he can't play. After 8 months of looking at the case of just the fact that he moved from New Orleans to Baton Rouge. That's what the waiver was. He's going from Tulane to LSU.
Hour.
There's no like he wasn't in trouble. He wasn't a grade risk. He wasn't in trouble with the law. He was nothing. He just wants to go back to where he started college from. The same place while he was there that you told him and everybody in the college basketball world is the most toxic college basketball environment in the country. So why aren't we applauding Jaylen Cook for leaving and now wanting to come back when it's been cleaned up? It's the example that the NCAA is using around the country. The LSU basketball program under Will Wade was poison. It was venomous to the sport. It was the place.
Get out while you can.
It was the place that invented cheating. Cheating had never been seen in college basketball ever until Will Wade got to LSU. And then they developed all these committees up in Indianapolis to prove it, and they couldn't prove it. So Wade's out of a job. The basketball program has had their legs cut out from them. I mean, like they've starting from scratch. Literally, they didn't have a team last year when Matt McMahon took over.
Still don't.
So he puts together a team 2 years later under the rules, gets a point guard who averages 20, who started his college basketball career at LSU, transferred to Tulane when the NCAA said the place was toxic, tries to come back, and now he can't play? Why? How? Who? Who says so? Over what? It is amazing to me that the place exists. It's unreal, unfathomable that they can come down and tell Jaylen Cook he can't play for the entire year. I mean, I think LSU needs to go full North Carolina here. Mm-hmm. They need to go full West Virginia here. West Virginia just got a player eligible just by going to the NCAA. They had like state senators get involved at West Virginia. You know, like North Carolina was just putting pressure on them from a PR standpoint.
The background squeeze.
Absolutely. I mean, this is something that I would say like Kim Mulkey should speak up on. Other people on campus that, have power. That when they speak, people listen. I don't expect Brian Kelly to address the Jaylen Cook situation the week of the Bama game. But those types of personalities and power figures that are on campus need to get behind this. This is a crime. This is an absolute crime. Cook's got a chance to go and play professional basketball somewhere. He may not be an NBAer. He may not be a guy that can play on the highest level. He might be, though. I don't know. I know for sure he can play in Europe. I know for sure he can play in the G League. I know for sure Jaylen Cook can draw a check for playing basketball for the next 8 years if he wanted to, if he stays healthy. Somewhere. If you can score 20 a night in college basketball, you can play. And just to take that out from underneath the kid and say, nah, sorry, man. In a program that we deemed was just bad for the soul, bad for the sport, that you left when we said so, and now you want to come back? No grade risk, no problems off the floor, nothing. Just wants to come home. No, sorry. F you, man. Like, seriously. Like, F you. Get the hell out of here. How does this happen? I feel so bad for Jaylen Cook. I feel so bad for Matt McMahon. I mean, really. You take 22 points off the floor on any team. You do that to the Golden State Warriors and it affects them. You do it to a college basketball team at the start of November? At the start of the season?
That's the other thing. They had so much time.
Dude, I knew it was going to happen. We talked about this.
We've been talking about it for a month, which is even insane. Even that's insane.
We set ourselves up for this. I'm more pissed than I thought. I mean, It drives me mad that this can happen. Mason Smith can't play a game. Get the hell out of here.
Well, that's the other thing. Who's reviewing it?
That's I don't know.
Exactly.
There's no statement. There's no source. There's no.
It's just flip it.
It's just Jaylen Cook can't play.
Here comes a letterhead from the NCAA, and it's guess what? Not good news. When is it ever good news? When do you think you were going to get he could go back? And that's the other thing. This is such a case in which makes sense for him to be able to play. Like the NCAA almost honey hold themselves. Where you want to make Will Wade the bad actor in this whole movie? Okay, one guy got out of town. You told him to leave. Now it's like, okay, it's safe to come back to town. No, you can't be back here. You told me it was okay if I left, I could come back.
It's inexplicable.
It's Tez Walker.
It's worse than Tez Walker.
It's worse.
I mean, but I hope that people look at the Tez Walker situation and apply the pressure that it deserves. Like, call these suits out, man. Like, who are these people?
That's the scary thing.
Who has the authority? Why can they do this?
There's no name attached to this email.
It's crazy, man.
It's
crazy. It really is, man.
Is that Bone?
I can't believe it. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. I mean, I really don't. I don't know.
So I'm saying, whenever you get the what movie is it? When you get the letterhead, when you get the note card,
the firm.
It's like, oh, does he have Bone?
I mean,
how did he get that? Who are these people?
It
makes no sense that you can have a kid that, and that's the other part where you hit the nail on the head, but when you have the other side of it where you have a Jaylen Cook who is trying to play basketball and wants to do it professionally probably,
like that's
and you're going to take it, like, how are you doing a betterment for the kid?
Right, like, so
is this your job? It's an automatic no every time.
Are you in for the
what?
Good of
they're in for it to say
athlete?
No.
Are you in for the positive, let him sit out a week of the regular season? I mean, like, well, okay. I mean, the whole entire year he loses over what?
Like, 2000. What? That's a 2002 punishment.
It just, man.
Jim Tressel.
Get the hell out of here. Like, how does this happen?
How? At the same token, Harbaugh is going to coach for a national championship. And you couldn't have more evidence staring you in the face, but we're going to move slow. Oh, the dredges of justice move slowly here. You have a bigger scandal staring you in the face. It's like, hold on, Jaylen Cook. We got to get to that. But your biggest sport that you have a hand in has a bad actor in Stallions, who's actively wearing sunglasses that can record.
But Michigan is also showing you how to deal with them.
Right.
Like look at what Michigan is doing. I don't understand why people don't take that playbook, that part of the playbook, and say, all right, look, there it is. Because at the end of it, it's a sham. It's a sham of a business model. It's a house of cards. I mean, really and truly, it is a house of cards. If you open the door and keep asking questions and keep opening doors, you're finally going to see, like, oh, hang on, like
nobody here's a charge.
Nobody's even here. Like, I mean, like, there's nobody even at this place. I mean, what? This is a house of cards. Yeah, it's a fraud. I mean, like, no, we're not listening to you.
I'm not paying that.
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, like, yeah, Mason Smith's gonna play. What are you gonna do? Like, what are you going to do about it? If
come down there, I swear to God.
Jaylen Cook plays. Like, what can you? Like, I know that they could keep him out of the tournament because that's really kind of the last piece of the NCAA's ownership. I guess that's why they're able to get away with all of this, because they make so much they've got so much money and they make it off the tournament. But I mean,
that's all they have money to.
I don't get it, man. I don't get it, man. It is crushing for Jaylen Cook. It's crushing for Matt McMahon. I mean, do we understand the mountain that Matt McMahon has been climbing. I mean, I know like a week and a half ago, he finally, like in a press conference setting, said and opened up about like what they've had to rebuild. And for people that may just kind of be looking from the, kind of the fringe and wondering what's going on with LSU basketball, I mean, the task and the responsibility he had to rebuild, and still in the middle of rebuilding the program, is it could go down as the greatest challenge that a Division I school has seen in the last 20 years. I mean, when he took over the job, literally there was 2 players on the roster. I mean, and for him to get to this point and do so much hard work, so much, pulling and trying to get the roster together, you put a point guard on the list that averages 20 a night, and you find out a week, 3 days before the season starts, he's out. Like, bruh, like hit after hit after hit. It just, man. So now, you're talking. You lose your point guard. You lose your point guard, and you lose 20 points a night. Now, the rotation you would think be about a couple of Baton Rouge guys, Carlos Stewart and Jordan Wright, who played for Jonathan Pixley over at Dunham. Trey Hannibal's still around. Mike Williams is there. Tyrell Ward can play some guard as well. But it just.
Well, it goes to show what you do if you play by the rules with the NCAA. You're like the last kid at the party that the cop says, "Hey, stop," and you're the one kid that stopped. You're the one kid that stops.
It's like that security guard.
It's like you
a couple of weeks ago, where he's like trying to stop 5,000 people.
Just runs into him,
running on and he just throws an elbow at some girl. You know what I mean? It's like,
did my job.
You got no problem. Get out of here, man. Go sit back down in the chair. Like it's
already happened.
It's over. All right, I know that this is 30 minutes, and LSU-Bama play on Saturday night, and I'm trying to get there. I want to get there, and I'm fired up about the game, and I just wanted to make sure that we recognize.
Can he
Bobby
play football?
Knight, and I wanted to make sure we recognize. Yes, he can, and he was an absolute stud at football. And the story of the Pelicans.
They need a DB.
Can he play corner?
Yeah.
He was a standout slot. I don't know. Yeah.
Flip him.
For LSU, you can play corner. Fellas, we can play corner for LSU.
I'm just saying.
What if they go foul wide?
I guarantee you they got 3 on campus that are not playing anything right now.
That could probably go out
that could go out there and get reps on Saturday night versus Alabama.
Catch a body.
And be like, and everybody would be like, where is he from?
Yeah, who is that?
Just didn't play football in
Some
college.
safety from Destrehan that stopped playing football.
No doubt.
Cared more about girls than he did ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just said give it up on it, but throw him out there, roll the ball, and see what happens.
His name is Denver Harris. 5-star. Yeah, I played flag football against the track team. Coach, they weren't supposed to be out there. NCAA didn't come calling, but they had some studs. They could run. You want to see a 10-2 in person? I didn't. Smelled like a tire in there.
Jaylen Cook things got me pissed, man. Did you watch the LSU women last night?
Yeah, I did.
Real quick before we get to football. You went to the game.
I went. I was there.
How good are they?
They are.
Did you get to go see the locker room?
No, I did not get to see the locker room.
How crazy is that?
I'm trying to see how you get courtside tickets now. Like
I don't know how you can break through the first 10 rows.
I think Lloyd is the coup for courtsides. He has the.
Were you sitting courtside last night?
No,
he has sat courtside for a women's game. Don't lie to me.
That's true.
But I did
last year?
Ratty.
Last year.
Yeah, well, it's a new ticket in town.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
That's a one ticket. That's a one ticket, coach.
Kobe and Shaq's Lakers team.
Yeah.
Getting courtside of this is. You're probably talking about 3,000 a pop.
Yeah. Well, they had some college kids sitting courtside last night, but I guess it's just exhibition game.
Balcony Bengals.
Kramer was sitting second row, right behind the benches.
Oh, feet on the floor.
But this team is
stacked.
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 Everywhere you look is 20 points, 20 points, 20 points. And they got 20 points coming off the bench. Michaela Williams is going to be a problem in the SEC in college basketball.
She looks like a tailback.
Yes.
I would run her tall sweep left, tall sweep right all night.
Allie Broussard.
Can she play cornerback? Really? I'm not kidding.
Van Lith comes out.
I'd put Flauja out there corner.
She's gotten bigger, huh?
I saw her.
Yeah.
Saw her cut off a pass, like a outlet.
Van Lith comes out the locker room with the black eye. I don't know what that girl plays so hard. Yeah. I don't know what she's doing in warm-ups, but
Mamba,
she's just
bro.
Yeah.
She does have that Mamba
I'm telling you, she got the Mamba
juice.
She hit this girl with an in and out last night, like driving, stop and pop, and it was just.
Can you bet on women's basketball?
I don't know.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Man.
Bet everything.
I want a little Jay in an Ivy League school by the end of the year.
Get Jaylen Cook in school.
Get these numbers down for me.
Get these. Hey, LSU minus 40.
Look, I got to get these numbers in before this call ends.
You're receiving a call from 225. Not again.
Alyssa Morrow.
I mean,
how good is she?
Like I'm saying,
she got the best mid-range game in the SEC,
and even
forget campus.
And like her and Angel Reese under the goal is a problem because if Angel Reese misses a layup,
you can't double.
Alyssa Morrow gets the rebound. She's going back up with it, and they foul her. She's gonna make both of her free throws every time.
And Del Rosario is gonna be a problem by the middle and the end of the year.
She's still young,
she's
still trying to.
Yeah, she's still young.
Yeah, still trying to figure it out.
Defending national champs.
Yeah, but she's still.
She's gonna be a problem.
I mean,
she is gonna be
bigger than Angel Reese. So
be a problem. I mean, an issue. They're awesome. They are so fun to watch too.
See that locker room?
Yeah.
Very fun to watch.
Mulkey verified.
Yeah. I mean, you don't think she had her thumb on that?
It was the first quarter, and it was 35-0. Like with 8 minutes left in the.
They're gonna beat teams senseless.
They might not have lines out on them.
They'll beat the will out of teams.
I mean, when you make it wholesale changes in the first quarter,
you're
you
doing hockey changes.
Yeah.
They're hopping over the bench to get in. 5 for 5.
5 for 5.
And you're playing against Louisiana College. Who's over there like, we got 5 and that's it. I've been on the other side of that thing, Coach.
It's bad. No, it is bad.
This is unhealthy.
All right, remember our new sponsor over here, Pierce Bespoke, is a mobile tailor service headquartered right here in Baton Rouge. They host trunk shows across the country with law firms, casinos, universities, country clubs, high-end hotels, whiskey lounges, cigar bars, and more. They outfit everyone. Athletes to salespeople, politicians to LSU football players to LSU coaches. They take their measurements. They take your measurements from the neck down, offer thousands of fabrics to choose from, and allow you to build your own sport coat, your suit, pants, shirts, anything you need. Delivery time's about 3 to 4 weeks. I just went through the process, picked up a beautiful suit from Grayson Augustus and his team over at Pierce Bespoke. Log online to piercebespoke.com. If you mention the show, if you mention the Jordy Culotta show, they'll take $200 off of your whatever your order is. So think about that, man. You go in there, you're looking for a sport coat, you're looking for a custom-made suit, you're looking for just a dress shirt or maybe just some pants to wear in and out of business meetings. Let Grayson Augustus and his team over at Pierce Bespoke help you out. Online, piercebespoke.com. Mention the show and you save $200 on your order. All right, LSU-Bama, Saturday night, we're here. I'm making the trip. I got the tickets yesterday. I'm in. Leaving, suicide mission. 10 a.m. Saturday morning. Going in, getting the win.
30.
Got a couple of tailgates. We're going to head up. Getting into Bryant-Denny early. Going to get the win. Then packing back up and getting back to Baton Rouge. But I'm fired.
That's the way to do it.
That is the way to do it.
Oh, because I was talking last night about
I need to talk to you off the air, Lloyd.
The experience about Alabama whenever we stayed at what feels like the not a hotel, the motel. And we had
the doors that open up to the streets.
Yes.
Ooh,
and that's what kills me about the Bama trip.
The single numbers.
Yes.
I'm in 6
here. Right. You get the skeleton key. We had somebody eating chicken wings in the morning in the parking lot of their tailgate of their truck.
Yes.
At 7 a.m. in the morning, just flicking them at us on the door. Y'all gonna wake up? Get ready for the Tide.
Game time, boy.
It's like
playing the Tide.
How did you know that we're LSU fans?
I saw that. I saw that LSU flag driving in.
Saw your license plate, boy.
You ain't no regular.
You ain't from around here.
And that's what makes me not want to go. So if you're going in and out, that's the only way to go. And I had to drop off my friend who was good for him. You know, you do what you do in Bama in college. And we had to drop him off the next day. And I got lost with a dead phone in Alabama in somebody else's car and had no clue. I was like, I think I'm going to be a Gump. Like, this is how it happens.
I'm from Alabama.
This is how you get stuck to be a Gump. Yeah. I had to pull over to a gas station, be like, bro, where is so and so like street? Like, just let me get back on the right path. Like, oh, you seem a little lost there, brother.
Boy, you ain't from around here, huh?
I'm looking for that La Quinta
Yeah, exactly.
on Bryant Denny Drive.
That 9-6 must have been real fun.
You must be talking about the one on Bear Bryant Drive.
Yeah.
Boy.
This now you would take a ride on Saban.
Yeah, you were on Saban, but now I need you to go to Bear Bryant.
Yeah, take that left.
Take that left on Gene Stallings.
Hit a roll tide. And I was in somebody else's car without a phone. I was like, I think it's gonna be my new life. I'm gonna have to be non-solicited LSU fan in Alabama with no job, no wallet.
Well, I can tell you Tuscaloosa is a beautiful town.
It is that.
As I have told you, Saban has done incredible for the City Works projects over there. He's done great things around.
Raised more money than God.
I mean, like the place should be Saban-Lusa rather than Tuscaloosa.
And he doesn't even live there.
He hates the place. What the football program has done for the city speaks, just for itself. But I'm not trying to hang out there. I'm just going in, getting the win, coming back, because I feel as the closer this thing gets,
you're getting that funny
I'm trying
feeling.
to stay objective here. I'm trying to stay as neutral as possible on my analysis.
LSU by a touchdown.
I just don't know how they can stop LSU. I
can't think
when
of a way.
it comes down to it, I know their defense is good, and I know that they've got playmakers at all three levels of this defense. Guys that will be playing on Sundays and making a ton of money. But from LSU's approach and their attack, I just don't see how you shut them down, how you stop them. And with LSU scoring and Alabama having to play with the pressure that they're going to have to score offensively, no matter how bad LSU's defense is, because I recognize LSU's defensive unit is poor to terrible. I'm not even trying to make an excuse that they can find any good in what they do. Things have been trending in a better direction, but at the end of it, it's still bad, right? But the pressure that Alabama has to play with, that you have to score. You have got to put and not three. While I respect Alabama's special teams
for the first time,
and the crew, right? It is a total identity switch in this game. Right, where Alabama is rolling in with like a special teams unit that they're confident in, their defense, not the defensive part, but they have little to zero confidence in their offense. Right, their offensive line is no good. Their quarterback's a little unproven. They don't have a lot of playmakers. They got a couple of playmakers.
Stop me when you've heard this before.
It's just it's not your typical LSU Alabama matchup from that standpoint where. LSU's rolling in with, the greatest show on turf, right? They've got this high-flying, electric, firework offense and a defense that can't find itself. When's the last time LSU's identity defensively has just been lost, right? They just don't have any confidence in a lot of what they do. And if the game is going to be matched up like that, just like it says it is on paper, LSU's talented, electric, number one offense going up against a top 10, professionally riddled Alabama defense, I like LSU's offense in the matchup. And from Alabama's offensive standpoint to LSU's defense, I don't think that LSU is going to shut them down. I don't think LSU is going to shut them out. I don't think LSU is going to stop them the majority of the time. But I think Alabama playing with the pressure that you got to score. You're going to have to put the ball in the air. You're going to have to do some things that you haven't done. I'm betting against that. And if Jalen Milroe can make those plays, and if he can make those throws, and he can work himself out of some jams, and he can keep up with the LSU offense, then I tip my cap to Jalen Milroe and Alabama at the end of 4 quarters, and I say, job well done. You just did something I didn't think you could do. But going into it on Saturday, that's how I feel. I just feel like LSU is going to outscore them. They're going to put a pressure on Alabama offensively that makes them think they have to keep up and have to score, and they're just not built for that. Up to this point, I have not seen them have any type of sign that they can compete, keep up, built for that type of game. They don't want a track meet. LSU would love to play this thing in the parking lot. They would love to play this thing anywhere, right? Like, make this thing a track meet. The fact that they don't stop you, okay, we know if you're LSU, you can't stop them. You can't stop us.
What do you think Alabama's offense is ranked total?
Out of 120?
Mm-hmm.
88th.
90.
78th. LSU's total defense is 88th. So the
Wow,
78th
they
ranked
made
Hey,
a
that's
jump.
a big jump.
They made a jump.
Yeah,
Go
78th
boys.
ranked defense. Well, 78th ranked offense versus the 88th ranked defense, and the number 1 offense in LSU's versus the number 17 total defense in Alabama's.
That's the number. Because when you look at games that Alabama's already played, the Ole Miss game is one that sticks out. Like they just put them in an absolute anaconda squeeze.
And I think that's the game for LSU, obviously, that's going to stand out. And the one that you look at and you say, they just don't look like that anymore.
Yeah, and I think
I mean, they were so bad that night.
I think Jayden Daniels is better than Jackson Dart too.
I do too, but
like he's not gonna put one.
But would you want Lane Kiffin calling your plays or no?
I mean, I'd want Lane Kiffin calling my plays with LSU's offense,
right?
Not with Ole Miss's.
And I think a lot of it kind of, as much as I love Lane, he overthinks himself for the Alabama game. Mm-hmm. Like that comes to fruition when you only score 10 and you score on the second drive of the game.
Didn't he like go for it a bunch of times?
Yeah, he did. That was last year.
But still, like he went for it a couple more times this year too.
But whenever you put up 50 against LSU and almost 1,000 yards of total offense, it's like, okay, that's at least a barometer of what the LSU offense can look like against like whenever you have to compare, when you start doing the comparison game, right? Mm-hmm. You start watching other teams play, and you're like, okay, what does LSU look like? The most reminiscent thing they have is Ole Miss. I would imagine as a competent offense that Alabama's faced, and they hold Ole Miss to 10. But then you have to start looking at it and go, did Lane Kiffin outthink himself? Because he always does it for the Alabama game, where it means so much to him, but he doesn't want to say that it does.
Yeah.
And for Brian Kelly, I don't feel like that's the same narrative.
No, I don't.
They've kind of taken the LSU mantle from, like, Ole Miss has taken what LSU used to do with this game.
Yeah, they went for it on 4th down 3 times. Got it 3 times. Well, they went for it on 4th down 4 times. Got it 3 times.
Ole Miss.
Yeah. So
Brandon Hollingsworth said, "Fool's gold, Auburn and Army are not that good." I get that, and I understand that. I would say this in the pushback of LSU's defense. At the beginning of the season, they were staggered. I mean, they were like a boxer that was on the ropes. I mean, they were just taking shot after shot. And football, to me, is as much about confidence as it is about skill, right? Like, you can be a highly skilled player. If you've got zero confidence, you're not going to make an impact. I mean, how many times have you seen a high-end wide receiver drop a big-time pass, right? I mean, sometimes it's just the confidence part is going to break you down. Defensively, early on, I thought LSU looked like their confidence was drained. They had zero confidence. They didn't have a lot of belief in themselves, right? And over the last couple of weeks, I think that has been more re-energized, more, fuel put in the tank of than anything else. I don't think that they found anything. I mean, sure, Pete Jenkins has come in and said, bump up on the line of scrimmage, man. Like, start playing Braden Swinson. Start playing, 94. Start playing these guys. I mean, start playing the right guys in rotation, and, you can see some things like vastly improve. But I think moreover, the thing that has improved the most is just their confidence. And I think going into Alabama with at least some belief, some confidence, some motivation gives them the necessary step of, look, again, they're not going to be good. They're not going to be great. They're not going to, but if they can keep capitalizing on some of these opportunities that they have in the games that have not been as competitive as we expect Saturday night to be. But from a mental standpoint, from a confidence standpoint, I think that has been re-energized over the last couple of weeks with LSU. And you go into Bama and you make a couple of plays, a couple of stops early on in that game, and you can feed off of that confidence. Now take that confidence that you have and start to stack some more on top. Now you're in the game, right? Like, now you got Harold Perkins, Mason Smith, Andre Sam. You got these guys that are kind of walking with a little bit of a swagger, believing, and they're carrying the other guys with them along the way. Again, look, you don't have to stop them every drive. You don't have to stop them 75% of the time. You got to make a couple of plays on defense Saturday night. You don't have to put the pressure on yourself to go win the game. But I think from a confidence standpoint, what they've been able to stack over the last couple of weeks will serve them right going into Saturday and feeding off of that, feeding into that, finding that. And, one play here, one play there that just kind of continues to build on that, and knowing that you got to flush the bad stuff, right? Because that stuff's going to happen. And I think if that's the mentality of LSU's defense, on the other side of the ball, I just don't believe anybody can stop Jayden Daniels and what they're putting out offensively. And if they have to play keep up, if they got to play score every time, if they have the pressure on them, Milroe has to go punch for punch with Jayden Daniels, that right now on Thursday feels like a losing scenario for Alabama. Again, we wake up on Sunday morning and they've done it. Tap, like tip of the cap, like shake the hand. Good job. You did it.
And when you look at the defensive back room, it's not like obviously that's the one place you feel like you're inefficient, but it also was so, I don't want to say, it was so porous to the point that what's the worst that can happen?
Right. No, and that's
you got bad. You got worse at a place where you're already bad.
Yeah, and to a degree, it's almost like that's a good thing where you're coming from. It's like, you can look around on Saturday and you can almost be like, boys,
material change.
It's not as bad as it was. Like, just think back a couple of weeks ago, you couldn't stop Arkansas. They just fired their offensive coordinator,
Dan.
I mean, they just booed him out of the stadium.
And you made him look like world
LSU
beaters.
Couldn't stop that team a month ago.
7-3.
So, I mean, along the way, there's been some improvement that you can look at and say, hey, look, you're taking steps, positive steps in the right direction. Feed off of that. Feel that. Continue to ride that. Continue to take that and grow from it. So, I mean, that's what I mean, a couple of stops, couple of plays defensively, and I think that's what the doctor is ordering Saturday night defensively. I mean, offensively, roll that thing out there and go be you. Jayden Daniels, go win the Heisman Trophy Saturday night. Defensively, just getting away a little bit. You know what I mean? You don't
fall into one.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's not like you're going out there saying
it's a Halloween party.
You're gonna win the game. Just a couple of stops, and I feel like LSU can get out of there. Can get out of there with a win.
I mean, you feel the feeling of it's going to be a one-score game.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's LSU, Bama.
Your anus will be tight in that stadium.
That's why we're going.
Yeah, I want that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see a classic.
You shovel up a coal up his butt, you'll have a diamond in a week.
I mean, I want the classic. I want the fourth quarter game. I want the one score. I want last season.
Yeah.
I mean, I want last year. I want to see it again. Right?
And that's where your confidence. You're done with it?
No overtime.
No overtime?
I mean,
no
overtime. I hear, but like a one-score game in the
overtime was electric.
It was.
That's the first overtime game we've had in a minute. If you were in Tiger Stadium, where it was
I couldn't watch.
I was in there, Coach.
I was in it, but I couldn't watch. I was in it, but I could not watch that last play.
It did feel like old school LSU, where you're like,
oh,
when's the other foot going to drop? I was like, no
doubt.
LSU's the one going for two. Like,
thing
they're going for it.
Saban and Alabama are jumping around looking for a timeout.
You got to get a
They're
timeout.
freaking out.
And LSU didn't leave the field.
I mean,
they're like, we got our play.
A Miles Ogeron greatest hits album.
Yeah, we got
a collab.
I mean, like, whoa, look at this.
Wait, didn't Alabama call a timeout right before?
And then they called another timeout.
They called a timeout right before the 2-point conversion. They get on the field and still didn't have still had too many. And they're
it was a Miles Ogeron greatest hits, man. Like it was. This looks like LSU. I mean,
LSU
he's got
was
like
just
the
staying in the
headset
field.
off, hands on the hips, looking back at the sideline. I mean, like it was like, damn, LSU's gonna win.
Yeah, they got the play. It's in that old Mason Taylor right motion.
Remember Daily, we're brought to you by Go Roof. Our friends are online at GEAUXroof.com, and they can help you out today. They'll jump up on the roof, diagnose any problems that you may have, whether it is commercial roofing, residential roofing. They can help you. If you just need your roof repaired, Go Roof is the spot for you as well. A beautiful roof every single time. 225-927-8300, 225-927-8300. You get a 2-year free workmanship guarantee with all those new roof installations. If you want to check them out online at GEAUXroof.com. This is roof repair, roof installation, and roof maintenance from our friends over at Go Roof. 225-927-8300. Call that number. You get a free quote, free and quick roof inspection. Over 15 years of roofing experience from a spot that is firmly established here in South Louisiana and providing competitive pricing for their customers. They're licensed and insured and proudly been supporting our community for over 15 years, like we said. Online, GEAUXroof.com, GEAUXroof.com, and 225-927-8300. From free quotes to free roof inspections, they can help you out commercially, residential, roof repairs, all of it. Go Roof, online, GEAUXroof.com. A beautiful roof every single time. Roofs up with our friends over at Go Roof. We're back with the second hour. Chris Blair is in studio. Steve Schneider is in studio. Big high school matchup here on a Thursday night in South Louisiana, as Catholic High is traveling to the north part of the city and taking on Zachary as the Broncos over at the Corral tonight. That should be a big one on Thursday night. Some streaming opportunities from the LHSAA that Steve Schneider is going to tell us about in his new venture here after 40 years on the desk at WAFB and retiring over 2 weeks ago. We'll talk about what is next with Schneider and some of the cool things that's happening with the High School Association and what Steve's bringing over there. So, hour 2, come back with us. Jordy Culotta Show, built by R&B, live here on the campus of Click Here Digital.
LSU fan.
Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Here you go.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot.
Oh, yeah.
Sticking the roof in.
For a hole in your roof, for a whole new roof, Go Roof. Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Hey, Greg. Roof up.
Roofs up. Roofs up. Roofs up.
Roofs up.
Roofs up.
Roofs up. Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
Well, the Oscar Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together two great names, the Andrews name and the Ochsner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Ochsner's to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Ochsner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
Malik Neighbors, a wide receiver.
Favorite pregame meal?
Popeyes.
What would winning a national championship mean to you?
It would mean a lot to me because, we seen a lot of the greats come through here, won their national championship, got, remembered for life.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Probably fly. That or telekinesis.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Do it wrong, do it long. Do it right, do it light.
Kyra Lacey, wide receiver, number 2.
Do you have any nicknames?
K2.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Stay humble.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Fly. I be flying in my dreams.
What's been the highlight of your partnership with us?
The bike giveaway was one of the best things. I was pretty excited about that one. Texas A&M, I just got a point to prove because last year I dropped 2 balls I should have caught. I'm coming for them for real.
That's it. Thank you, man.
My name is Harold Perkins, and I play linebacker.
What's your favorite pre-game meal or snack?
Pasta with a little steak, something that's not too heavy.
Any superstitions or pre-game rituals?
I pray a lot. Just be me and God before the game. Perky worky. I like when they call me the percolator. I like that.
If anyone gets in a wreck, who should they call?
Gordon.
Where were you born at, Greg?
Hattiesburg, Mississippi. But I claim 5-0 food because I was raised there my whole life. Favorite type of food is spaghetti, but you need to try spaghetti with some corn on the side. Funniest person, I'd probably get Kyron Lacey. He be having me joked out every time I talk to him.
Who's the most athletic?
Besides myself, Perk or Malik. Future self, just take one day at a time, one step at a time. If you're doing something, just be where your feet are. Make sure you give 100% effort.
What is something on your bucket list?
Win a Super Bowl. That's definitely on my bucket list.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Time traveling.
Who's the fastest on the team?
Like in a short span, I would say quick trigger, I'm taking Perk. One thing most people don't know about me, probably that I moved 12 times growing up, 12 different states.
Who's the most savage on the team?
Mason Smith. Mason Smith, definitely.
And who gets it done?
Gordon.
Thank you, man. That's great.
Emory Jones, right tackle.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Got it from my mom, and she just told me, always keep your head on the swivel.
Favorite subject?
Math, easy. I kind of keep it light. Give me some type of red beans or something like that. Throw a little cornbread on the side.
Light with red beans.
Yeah, just a little bit. I am superstitious. I got some PSDs that's purple and yellow and white. I wear them every game. I feel like they my lucky draws, and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep doing it.
As primary care sports physicians, the things we think about the most with our athletes from a medical standpoint usually involves the head, the climate, and the heart. We have to be very careful about participating in sports when it is safe, but also having the proper equipment to take care of them if we are worried about the athletes. So here in Louisiana, obviously heat can be a big problem. Things that I think about as a primary care sports medicine physician is that it's safe enough for our athletes to participate. And there are certain regulations that we follow here at Ochsner, but throughout the entire state, to make sure it is safe for our athletes to participate. When we think about concussion, we have to really recognize those symptoms from the forefront, and that becomes a cultural issue as well. As for the heart, screening exams are by far the most important thing that we can think about. We go through a series of questions, but also listen to the athlete's heart and ask about family history and other symptoms they may have had in the past. By doing so, we can identify and potentially screen out athletes to make sure that they are safe to participate in the sports that they love to do.
All right, welcome back here, Thursday edition, Hour 2. Jordy Culotta Show, as always, live here from our Click Here Digital campus. Looking forward to today. Jumping on the Click Here private jet, heading over to Auburn, Alabama today to meet with one of our clients, a new Toyota dealership that we're going.
Wait, you're
to
not lying.
What's that?
You're really good. You're getting on the
I'm getting
PJ?
on the Click Here PJ. But I mean, not for the game. I mean, I'm
just saying.
I'm trying to sprinkle that on the.
That's pretty convenient.
Depending on how this meeting goes at 2:00 today.
You know, I'm credentialed, huh?
If we're able to close and capitalize here, I might toss it out there to Bo about what's the jet doing on Saturday?
Got the keys?
Any plans?
You want to go?
Just showing off the capabilities over here at Click Here. A lot of the clients are outside of Louisiana, man. Really and truly. They work with automotives, legal, medical, all over the country. And I think if you haven't, Gordon McKernan was in here a couple of weeks ago. He's been working with Bo and Click Here, all of us over at Click Here, for over a decade now. And I can tell you, in sales and marketing, being in the sales and marketing world, that just doesn't happen, man. You rarely keep an agency. You rarely keep a marketing person, salesperson for 10 years. I mean, you just rarely see that. And and I'm sure all of you feel Gordon McKernan when you log online, right? I mean, like, you see him, you feel him, you hear him. He's all over the place. All those ads are being set by Click Here Digital. And a lot of the marketing plans of what he's doing, even outside of his digital marketing plan, Bo White has been a consultant on. So Click Here Digital is a monster, man. It is a monster not only in the state of Louisiana, but a monster throughout the country. And hearing the respect that it has, we'll see it today over in Auburn, Alabama, as we meet with a couple of dealerships over there. They know the power of Click Here Digital. If you're looking to change your bottom line, we tell you all the time, if you want more website traffic, if you need the phone to ring more, if you want more foot traffic and people walking through the door more, Click Here Digital can make that happen for you. Online, clickheredigital.com, and you can hit me if you want a direct contact, and just hit me on email, jordy@clickheredigital.com. One of the matchups that I'm really looking forward to on Saturday night is LSU's offensive line versus Alabama's defensive line, because of the matchup and what we've been hearing from both sides, right? Well, Alabama's never seen a defense or never seen an offense like LSU. Well, LSU's offense has never matched up against a defense like Alabama, and all is true, and something's got to give on Saturday, right? And you're talking about, heavyweight versus heavyweight, strength versus strength, power versus power, when those two units line up and square off against one another. But kind of the game within the game, the matchup within the matchup, the one that I'm really looking forward to the most out of all of it is
in the trenches,
the offensive and defensive line. I think this offensive line for LSU, right, we've talked about it over the last couple of weeks. Brad Davis is recruited at such a high level. I mean, continuing to do that. We saw him flip a 5-star from Texas A&M last week, be dominant inside the state of Louisiana. All of the offensive linemen that have come out of the state over the past 3 cycles, Brad Davis has not only been on them, he's gotten them. And now here you go, taking this group over to Tuscaloosa, squaring off against a unit headlined by Dallas Turner, who's most probably going to be a top 10 pick come April's draft. And matching him up against both Emory Jones and Will Campbell on the outside. And look, they've got more. What's my guy's name? Christian. Is it Brathmore?
Chris Braswell.
Braswell. On the other side as well, who's hell, right? So both Jones and Campbell got their hands full on Saturday night. We talked about Jaheim Oates, the big guy in the middle, is going to be a heck of a matchup for the interior of LSU's offensive line. But I believe the game within the game, this strength on strength, this power versus power matchup of LSU's offense versus Alabama's defense is really going to come down to that, right? Who wins that war? Who wins that battle? And I think this is a fantastic test for this offensive line that has had their identity changed and been such stacked over the past couple of recruiting cycles. When you roll them out there on Saturday night with a veteran in Charles Turner, a pro in Garrett Dellinger, a first-rounder in Emory Jones, a top 10 pick in Will Campbell, and a mid to late round selection in Miles Frazier. All 5 of these guys I believe to be pros. Charles Turner, I believe, will get a shot. Maybe he makes a 53. Either way, he'll be in a training camp. But you talk about this unit versus Alabama. I saw where LSU's offensive line was named a finalist of the Joe Moore Award a couple of days ago. If you want to become one of the 3 finalists that they cut it down to after the regular season, you got to win this part of the game on Saturday night. And when it comes down to Campbell and Jones and Dellinger and Turner, Frazier versus Oates, Braswell, Turner, Dallas Turner, that to me is going to really signify who wins this game. Because that's one thing that Alabama can change, which LSU has not seen all year regularly. They've seen it at times in spurts and in circumstances and situations, but they haven't seen it consistently because this offensive line has been solid. They have been as good as the league has offered. But I recognize they haven't been tested like the one that'll roll out on Saturday night. And if Alabama can create pressure on Daniels, while I still believe Daniels to be such a dynamic runner and when it breaks down, but if they can put pressure on him and take those running lanes away and get to him before he can make his plays down the field, this will be something that this LSU offense will have to adjust to, will have to adapt to, that it will feel a little foreign to them. But I also believe on the other side that Campbell and crew are ready for this challenge and can keep the pocket clean for Daniels going up against the pros for Alabama on the other side. It's going to be a fantastic matchup, kind of the battle within the war when you think about it.
The game inside the game.
This one of LSU's offensive line, who has changed so much over the last 2 years and now become a strength of the team, probably the best recruited spot on the entire organization, in the entire organization.
And you'll know how the game is going by Jayden Daniels probably rushing attempts. And the 2 losses, he ran the ball 15 times in both games. Were 15 carries, where against Ole Miss it was 15 for 99, Florida State 15 for 64, that's with sacks included. And so you'll see, like, even with that happening, he's still creating offense for you. And that's, I would say Florida State was the most uncomfortable he looked all year. Like, you saw a different Jayden Daniels moving forward where it didn't even look like the same player from last year after the Florida State game. It looked a lot like, that's why people were a little negative on him after going 0-1 in the first week. And it's like, oh, it's a lot of the same thing. And then after that, it's been a total flip of the script from what you've seen from Jayden Daniels. Now he is looking to throw it, and the running game is just like a little sprinkle on top of what he can do to make him the most dynamic quarterback in college football. And so even if it comes down to if they get a little pressure, he can still maneuver and create and find ways to get you yardage and get you in front of the sticks on first and second down. That's where LSU makes its hay. It's always 3rd and short. It's always 2nd and medium. It's never 3rd and 12. You know, when it is, it's very few and far between. That's what got you in trouble against Ole Miss, and that's the one game that you feel like you should have won that you lost whenever you had one kind of almost bad play design where you Quincy Cartered him and made him roll out to one side of the field and kind of eliminated what he does well. Other than that, they've pretty much played an perfect offensive season, aside from Florida State, and that's it. And he still played well. He had 15 carries for 64 yards and threw for 345.
It'll be interesting to see what Saban does on the back end against these high-flying wide receivers.
He's going to try to confuse them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be different looks. But one thing that he's got to account for if he does try to go like in a zero coverage or if he does try to match up with him is Daniels and his ability to run, right? Like, I mean, if you play these guys one-on-one or you try to play them one-on-one or you try to play double coverage in some instances and you play a man-type principle, Daniels will murder you with his feet. And I think that, that's where defending this LSU offense almost has to feel nearly impossible in preparing for him, right? Is that, you can maybe take away some downfield threat stuff with a guy like Caleb Downs and Kool-Aid McKinstry. I mean,
right.
Those are two those are two pros, high-end players. And you may be able to do some stuff with guys like that. But then who are you have accounting for Mason Taylor underneath or Jayden Daniels' ability to run? Or how about Logan Diggs out of the backfield? It's just the waves in which they come at you offensively that leaves you just kind of scratching your head like, where do you start? Where would you? Like, do you want to try and take the run away from them? Okay, well, then take Diggs out of the game. They're just going to bust you over the top with Thomas and Neighbors.
John Emery loves the Alabama game. Didn't that would get you perked up? Yeah.
I mean,
he's made 2 big plays.
This is a big player's field. Like, this is
the cream rises here.
This is where you're the true talent has to come out in these types of games.
You think you're a dog?
Usually do. Right, exactly. That's exactly right. You think you're for real? You think you're a pro?
You're going to find out in the first 5 minutes.
You think you're a football player.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You'll find out quick on a field like Saturday night with the emotion and the energy running in it. But I know that the message from LSU to a lot of these new faces and youngsters is once this thing kicks off, hey, this is a football game. That's it. There's nothing more, nothing less on the line than everything that you've ever done in this game. Like, you've played this game for a long time. JV and Taviano.
Or been wanting to play this game for a long time.
Jeremiah Hughes. Ashton Stamps.
That's who I think is going to be.
Youngsters, kids, guys that were in high school football last year.
Stamps was born for this one.
College football's grandest regular season stage. The lights do not get brighter in the regular season than LSU-Bama. And you're 18 years old with an opportunity to play in this game.
With the voice on the call.
Chris Blair is here. He's here every Thursday. Compliments of our friends over at Carriages. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion with the voice as he plans for another trip to Bryant-Denny. We'll ask him about this week and what the preparation has been like and what the Tide look like on paper. We'll also talk to him a little bit about basketball season as that is cranking up here.
He's got some thoughts on Jaylen Cook.
The Jaylen Cook ruling earlier. Blair was here over the last couple of weeks. I think we all knew what was coming down the pipe on this. Now that it's officially been served up, it's piercing. It's terrible, and we'll react to it coming up here. Jordy Culotta Show, as always, brought to you by our friends over at Hughes Mechanical. Check out Travis Hughes and the crew online at hughesmechanical.net. That is HVAC services for commercial and residential online at hughesmechanical.net. Chris Blair next. If you're in the market for a mortgage lender, you need to start with Doug Bickley and his team. Bickley has built a crew with over 50 years of combined lending experience. They've been in business for over 20 years, and they love helping their clients achieve the American dream of home ownership. They're also key with working in real estate agents and helping their clients getting same-day pre-approval. They average about one buyer a day getting them in a home. If you want to get in touch with Doug and his crew, it's easy. Call them 225-214-5154. 225-214-5154. Go see the Bickley team today. They're located on the corner of Coursey Boulevard and Sherwood Forest right here in Baton Rouge.
What's up?
What's happening?
Chilling with a couple of cool guys. You?
Chilling and watching some tube. Hold on. Did you do it? Hold on. Did you do it?
Roof's up.
Hold on.
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
You can't put the cart before the horse. That'd be like, will you marry me?
Do I know you?
Never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof. Call Go Roof instead. We offer a free, no-obligation inspection. A beautiful roof every shingle time. Bobby, goes in the front.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Belmont Stakes Race Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Kentucky Derby Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Head health is incredibly important for our student athletes. One of the best ways we're trying to address concussions is on the front end. We're trying to prevent these before they happen. And a big part of that is speaking to the athletes, letting them know what to expect. Okay, speaking to the parents, what to look out for, talking to the coaches so they know the vital importance. Some of the big things we're looking for with a concussion, which is, a traumatic brain injury, is one, was there a mechanism? Was there an injury that took place that could lead to this? Often a direct blow to the head, a head-to-head hit. If someone's showing signs of concussion, our first step is always to remove them from activity, get them to a place where there's less stimuli, where we can really just sit down and get a feel for the athlete, what they're feeling. We're looking for headache, we're looking for dizziness, any sign that coordination is off, that something's just not right. Get a good evaluation of them to understand what's going on. It's not worth the risk that may be there to kind of ignore it, because there are very serious consequences if we don't treat a concussion properly.
Don't let concerns about shifts in the market disrupt your long-term financial goals. Edward Jones financial advisor Daniel Newman can help. He'll work with you on an investment strategy for long-term results. Edward Jones can give you the tools and knowledge for a steady approach to hitting your financial targets. Get started today by calling Daniel Newman at 225-261-8262. 225-261-8262. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Your Thursday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, we're built by our friends over at RMB Builders. Shout out to Rhett and the crew over at RMB Builders. RMB-builders.com if you want to hit them online. Every Thursday, we link up with the voice, Chris Blair. As Blair, of course, this is the part of the season where basketball is getting going. Football is right in the teeth of the SEC schedule. So very busy, as we always appreciate him on Thursday mornings. Compliments of our friends over at Carriages, Jefferson Highway Shopping Center. Over there, Carriage has been around since the early 80s. You can check them online and on Facebook. Tell Will that you heard it here on the show. Chris Blair is with us. Good morning. How are you?
I'm great, man. It is a fun time of the year. It's a fun week. pretty big game coming up Saturday, so fired up about it like everybody else.
You got your processes in getting prepared for each game, and you kind of have your habits that you go through. Does it feel different here coming off the bye? Does this Alabama game for you feel bigger than the other ones?
Well, I guess so. I mean, because, it's interesting. I was talking to Michael Bonnet earlier in the week, and Michael knows it's a big game based on the phone calls he gets on Sunday to start the off week. As everybody starts to prepare, all the media outlets and national media. And that's kind of similar to us. We're asked for clips from last year and years past. And so there's some of the stuff we got done, why it's quote-unquote a bye week or an off week. It's really just a lighter week for basically everybody because you're trying to kind of get ahead because, this week is going to fly by. And I know for fans it probably seems like forever to get to Saturday, but for us it moves very quickly. So I got a lot of work done ahead of time for the Alabama game. Plus, as you mentioned, basketball with both women and men's exhibition games that we put on the air and work with the SEC Network Plus. We had to get that ready. So it was a pretty busy week. But, yeah, you can tell it's big this week. I mean, taking a lot of emails, doing a lot of shows, not just in the Southeast, but you're getting calls from all over the country that Pac-12 country, Big Ten country, and they all want to spotlight this LSU-Alabama game.
What's been your impressions of this game since jumping aboard? I believe this is your 7th year.
Yeah.
So you've kind of seen this thing nearly all the way through. I mean, it'll be the last CBS primetime game. It started here in 2011 in this time slot. But it feels like this is one of college football's biggest regular season stages year in, year out. Somebody that kind of came into it nearly a decade ago. What's been your impressions of this game, this matchup, this rivalry, I guess would you call it?
Well, I tell this story a lot. So my first game was in 2016, which was a hell of a game. It was a great game.
10-0?
Yep, 10-0. And my late father, it was his first game coming to Tiger Stadium. And so they got into the stadium probably, I guess, 10 minutes till kickoff. This is basically about the time the team came out of the chute and all the hoopla. And so after the game, which again was an incredible game, unfortunately LSU lost, but I asked Dad, I said, well, what'd you think about the game, Tiger Stadium? And he said, when we walked out to go to our seats from the concourse and, just flashbulbs going off and the team coming out, he said it was like seeing the Grand Canyon for the first time. I mean, it's kind of makes you sit back a little bit. And that's kind of how I felt in the booth. I mean, it was like, wow, it doesn't get any bigger than this. And, I've heard a lot of people in the SEC talk about when you go to Tiger Stadium and it's LSU and Alabama, or when you go to Sanford Stadium in those type matchups, I mean, it's bigger than a Super Bowl. I mean, it's just the feeling, the excitement, the energy. And so that's what I think about. And it's interesting because I've said a lot this week. It's kind of been my lame joke is that it's amazing how many times, at least a couple of times this year, that the national media has left Alabama and LSU by the wayside. It happened in week 2 for Alabama. Yeah. Like, oh, Nick's, it's passed him up and he doesn't have the talent. And, of course, with LSU, it was, well, you can take them off the board. And lo and behold, here we are, the first weekend in November, and it's a primetime game on CBS with a ton of implications for the SEC West, the overall SEC, and who knows, depending on how things play out across the country, maybe college football playoff implications. So that, to me, tells you how big this game is.
Not the X and O breakdown, but what do you feel about this year's matchup? I mean, how do you feel about this 2023 edition of it?
When I look back at, there haven't been a ton of losses in Nick Saban's career, especially in SEC play. But when it has come, it's come from dynamic and dual threat quarterbacks. LSU, of course, only one of 2 teams that have beaten Nick Saban in back-to-back years since he took over at Alabama. They did it in 10 and 11, obviously. But it's the Ole Miss 14 and 15 years that I look at based on just the explosive offense that Ole Miss had. So, looking at this matchup, I look at what LSU has done consistently the entire season. I think you take away a couple of drops in that opening game against Florida State. I would not agree that LSU's offense lost that game. Now, again, they make a couple of those catches the whole thing changes. But I think just like in the Ole Miss game, not as bad, but in the Ole Miss game, I think the Florida State, defensively, you had some letdowns, missed tackles, a ton of them. So, I think that's going to cause trouble for Alabama, because I think like every other team this year, you've had to decide, what are you going to try to take away? And I think that Coach Denbrock hasn't gotten enough credit. You hear coaches all the time say, we'll take what the defense gives us. That is exactly what he has done this year with this offense. Yeah, so, right. I'll be interested to see what Alabama wants to do defensively. Are they going to do like a lot of teams and try to take away either Malik or Brian with double coverage? Are they going to be dedicated to, we're not going to let Logan Diggs and Jayden Daniels run the football successfully, which is typically what Alabama wants to do. But again, if you try to do that and you put 8 in the box, who's going to cover Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors and Kyron Lacey and Mason Taylor? And so, I think this offense is built to go get the job done. I think the storyline is Alabama's offense has gotten better week to week to week. I think Jalen Milroe now has a ton of confidence that he didn't have, obviously, in week 2 against Texas. I don't know that I've seen a guy recently get benched and it be as big news as it was. That's what I was telling Eli Gold yesterday. It's not SEC news or Alabama news when he got benched. That was national news. Everybody was talking about it. Yeah. I think he's bounced back pretty well. I think his offensive line has gotten much better. So to me, this LSU defense that incrementally has gotten better the last 3 weeks, even though they're very depleted, how does that match up with an Alabama offense that has incrementally gotten better? Yeah. I think LSU can go over there and score some points. You get 2-3 stops, critical stops in the game from your defense, I think you'll be in good shape.
Is this a home field advantage in the league? What's this venue like in a big game?
I get in trouble for saying this a lot, but it is one of the better environments, truthfully. They do a good job for game day at Bryant-Denny Stadium. I know it. It pains me to say it, but
certainly for the LSU game.
Yeah, they pull out all the stops, man. It's electric, and it's a pretty tough place to play. And again, LSU has the ability for the big play strike. I think it'll be critical if they're able to methodically drive down the field. Once they get in the red zone, that becomes a problem. You really have to block out the distractions, because once you get in those end zone areas, it's loud. It's a home field advantage. Yeah.
Sweet home Alabama in your ear all night.
Yeah.
Rammer, Bammer, Yellow Hammer.
Yeah. Shakers.
Oh, yeah. I stole one from a child.
It's Shakers. Yeah.
I tell you what, man, the basketball team is pretty impressive. I'm not looking at who they played. I'm just looking at what their ability was. Last year they couldn't score. They come out and score over 100 the way they did, jumping, flying around. That was fun, man.
It's like I told Kent Lowe after the game. I said, Kent, I'll tell you one thing, that regardless of who you're playing, if they stuck me and you out here for 40 minutes, I don't think just me and you could score 132 points. So there's something to be said for being able to put the ball in the cylinder, which is something that we obviously knew was a struggle last season. So, to shoot threes, you got to make the shot. And yes, did they have a lot of open looks? They did, because they made the extra pass. They made a good shot, a better shot, by being unselfish with the ball. But you still have to make those shots, and they were incredible. And, again, it's unrealistic to expect 60% or higher from three-point land night in and night out. But as Coach Brady said after the game, you're looking for that sweet spot of 38 to 40%, again, which is incredible if you can do that. But I think this team, just from the eye test to me, that Matt McMahon has assembled, is a better shooting team, better offensive team, and frankly, Jordy, a more athletic team. Corey Chest is, he's dynamic, can leap off the floor. Everybody was questioning Damian Collins. He played limited time at Kentucky. Well, that's because you backed up Oscar Tshiebwe, and when you're averaging 22 points and 32 rebounds a game, you're probably not going to see a lot of time. And Coach McMahon said this guy needs time. He needs time, minutes on the floor. And, again, loved his athleticism, his ability to play at the rim. So I was impressed with all of it. Who knows what will happen? The SEC, I think, is top-heavy this year. I think the top of the league, very, very good. And then I think from maybe the fifth preseason team on down, I think it'll be quite a battle.
I know you share the same sentiment as me. You voiced it a couple of weeks back on this Jaylen Cook situation. It's official now. The waiver has been denied. I feel terrible for him, obviously, the youngster. And then for Matt McMahon, I'm like you. I was glad that Coach McMahon really kind of vented into the press, not necessarily looking, just kind of telling you the truth of what's been going on. And to lose a player like that in November 1st that averages 20 points, is just trying to come home, and being told by the NCAA is it's a dagger to the heart. I don't expect LSU to give up on this. Hopefully they can get some good news at some point. But, you take 20 points off of any team.
Yeah.
You take them off the Golden State Warriors and it hurts them.
Yeah, I mean, again, I liked what our boss, Scott Woodward, said yesterday. It appears they will continue to fight on Jalen's behalf, as they should. And I told you last week, I mean, the NCAA, it's very hard to take them seriously when it's always murky waters. It's always, trying to read the tea leaves, because there's just no – they've kicked all these things down the road for so long that it's hard to say, okay, this is what they're going to do in this situation, because they've clearly stated you have to do X, Y, and Z, or you can't do X, Y, and Z. It's always different. Mm-hmm. And that's a part of it that is frustrating. And frankly, for an institution that talks about wanting to do things right, and weed out those who, are not playing by the rules. You have a young man like Jaylen Cook who wanted to play in the purple and gold coming out of high school. He leaves. The NCAA says the coach must go. The coach goes, and then he wants to come back to the school he wanted to play at.
Right.
And he gives you that reason, and you're like, nah. Like, there's been waivers. I know they've been a little tougher on waivers of late, and that's why we all kind of felt this is where it was going to go. But the truth is they've given waivers that don't make any sense compared to, what a great story that is, I think, for Jaylen to want to come back and finish his career after a very successful career at Tulane, to come back to the school he originally wanted to play for in the state that he's from. And so, yeah, I think that's a bad miss on the NCAA. But, again, you just throw that on the pile.
Yeah. TBE, to be expected.
Yep.
Chris Blair is the voice. He's got a huge one on Saturday night with LSU-Bama. He'll be in Bryant-Denny. 6:30 kickoff, 4:30 pregame, LSU Sports Radio Network. Brian Kelly's show tonight. Have you seen does his demeanor change in games like this, or is he pretty slow heartbeat no matter who's on the docket?
It's funny because I like the fact that he doesn't shy away from how big a game it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's like, look, this is what's on the line for us. This is what's on the line for them. And to act like it's not a big game would be, naive or disingenuous. Right. But I like the fact that I don't sense from him that everything is all-encompassing on this game. And I think because he's comfortable in his own skin, he's comfortable with what the team has been accomplishing, I think that kind of, again, I think I said it last year before the Alabama game. I think his calmness and his belief in what we're doing, if we do it this way, we'll be okay, I think kind of feeds down to the players. So I don't expect them to come out tight. I don't expect them to come out anxious, because I don't think that's what their head coach is like. And I think that's an asset for LSU.
Voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, TJ Ribbs tonight. 7 o'clock is the start on the LSU Sports Radio Network for the Brian Kelly Show. Chris will be in his gear from Carriages, just like he is every week on the call on Saturday night. Come LSU-Bama, 6:30 start, Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, with the SEC West on the line, or at least it feels like it. Thank you as always. Have a safe trip.
Yeah, man, before I go, rest in peace, Bobby Knight. I mean, a one-of-a-kind American sports coach. I just got to tell you, if you haven't seen the clip of him telling the '84 Olympic story,
we played it at the beginning of the show.
I mean, if you haven't seen it, if you're just tuning in, you go Google it and look at it on X or Twitter or whatever. I mean, it's fantastic.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah,
it's phenomenal.
But anyway, you guys have a great weekend, and let's go Tigers.
Have a great call. There he is, Chris Blair. Coming back, Steve Schneider in the building. On to a new role, LHSAA, after 40 years on the desk at WAFB. What's next for the legend? We'll ask him next here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Come back with us live here from Click Here Digital. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot. Oh, yeah.
Sticking the roof in.
For a hole in your roof, for a whole new roof, go roof. Roof, roof, go roof.
Hey, Greg, the roof up?
Roof's up. Roof's up. Roof's up.
Roof's up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up! Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
Well, the Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together two great names, the Andrews name and the Ochsner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Ochsner's to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Ochsner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
All right, welcome back here. Thursday edition, Jordy Culotta Show. Appreciate Chris Blair stopping in. Good stuff from Blair talking about what was happening in the lead up to this game and lead up to LSU-Bama coming in to Saturday night on CBS. Somebody who is a great resource, talk LSU, Bama, talk all sports Baton Rouge, and now talking about his new gig with the LHSAA is the legend, Steve Schneider, who I believe we have fixed the spelling on the name and gotten that correct now. Nothing like the Jordy Culotta
my mother-in-law's
show. Disrespect a legend like that.
My mother-in-law's name was Schneider, so
Really?
don't jump to any inbreeding or anything. But that was actually
South
her
Louisiana's
name.
finest. First off, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
On man, just a career that I don't know could be described in words, but just the time and the amount of memories that you've created for a ton of viewers, I don't think could ever be calculated. But thank you for what you've done for our market and for sports media in general. It's
been a blessing for me.
Yeah.
Like, from going from electrical engineering in 4 semesters where I was about to flunk out to jumping into something that worked out, I think it's been a real blessing.
I don't think that it makes perfect sense. It does make perfect sense for kind of your next gig to be around high school athletics, because I think for as much sports as you covered and as many sporting events as you've covered, I recognize you as kind of the high school guy, right? I mean, like, I know I've said this when I was in high school and I went to Parkview, and Parkview was kind of coming into what they are, like it was kind of the start of it. If you were at the game, if you saw Steve Schneider at the game, you were kind of like, you got a little jolt. You were kind of like, boys, we're in a big one tonight. You know what I mean? Schneider's here, AFB's here. We're obviously going to be on Sportsline. Like, we got to step it up a little bit.
That's right.
That's right. And now to see the next gig, which I'd love to get into, but can you tell me how that started? Like, was this just love of high school football, or did you just see an opening?
Well, I was not a
coverage?
football player. I was a basketball guy. My basketball coach used to make fun of football players. Like, I bet, we'd be practicing in the gym, and the football guys would be on the stage. It was an old gym in Hattiesburg, and they'd be doing weights, like their off season. He said, "Man, I wish I had a piece of raw meat I could throw up there and see what they would do." Right? Like, that was kind of his attitude about football. But man, I came to LSU, fell in love with South Louisiana and the people and their enthusiasm and their generosity. And I started getting out, and I'll never forget, I went to an EA Sandoval game. There were 7,000 people there. I think there were like 6,000 liquor bottles. The BBC was doing a documentary on it. I'm like, this is the greatest reality TV you could find. At the time, the station was doing 2 games a week, one on Thursday night, one on Friday night, and typically it was either Memorial or Olympia. If you didn't play in those stadiums, you really probably didn't get covered till the playoffs. And I was like, man, we need to get out. So I convinced them the next year to get out. The late Mark Winfrey was an intern of mine in the spring, and in the fall we hired him full time. And our first game in that new attitude was Plaquemine White Castle. Wow. Brian Mitchell, Doug Coleman.
Holy cow.
2 household names of high school football. Yeah. It was a shootout. It was like 42-35 or something like that. Jay Townsend, the old sports director, nearly killed us because we walked in the door at 10 after 10, and he usually didn't run stuff unless it was 3 or 4 hours old. And we made our deadline, and that's how it started. And, there were just so many places we had never been. I remember I went to Live Oak when they were a 2A school.
Wow.
And the PA guy was like, "Ladies and gentlemen," it was like Jesus Christ showed up or something, right? Like they were, Steve and Sportsline are here.
Right.
But to me, it was a no-brainer. Like, we did a basketball show one year. I thought it was great. The sales department said they couldn't sell it, and that was the end of that. But, this new venture, LHSA Network, is all of that. Yeah. It's like boys and girls, every sport you can think. And, you might not get excited about cross country until Marley Rose over here goes out and shoots a cross country meet, which we're featuring, in the next few weeks before their state championship. And a young man's running toward the finish line and his legs give out. And in that sport, everybody who scores counts. Mm-hmm. He crawled across the finish line to get points for his team. I don't know the young man's name. I don't know what team it is. But when you watch that, you really get a feel for what high school sports is and why parents and families and communities love their athletes and want them to get covered.
Beautifully said. Steve Schneider, who is a part of the LHSAA now, former sports director, WAFB. We'll get into what's going on with the new gig and want to introduce Marley to our audience as well. First and foremost, a little history on this game, LSU-Bama, your standpoint, and then the CBS relationship of that game, you kind of being there every step of the way of this thing being in prime time now. How have you seen this game grow, the brand grow? What does this game kind of mean to you? And
it's been great over the years. I mean, usually on the station that I work for, Marley's actually got a story that runs in halftime of tonight's streaming game that we're doing, Catholic and Zachary, on Rohan Davey. And, of course, you go back to the Rohan Davey, Josh Reed, 528 yards passing. And could have been more. Yeah, I can remember, the halftime when Jimbo and Kyle turned the place upside down, and then they had that great second half, and Dwayne Bowe and all. I mean, there's just so much history, and of course it all stems from the fact that Nick Saban left, broke everybody's heart, and I can still remember being in New Orleans when they announced that he was going to Alabama, and it was like the jilted lover syndrome. Like, what? Our boyfriend is going to that team? Just great stuff. But, I mean, I even go back to, Tim Brando, my mentor, worked for ESPN, and he was at Legion Field when they would play the games, the road games back there. And I was doing Tiger Vision when they beat the Bear. Like, I actually interviewed Bear Bryant as a college radio guy.
82?
Yes. Greg Bowser, who did the Tiger Vision pregame and halftime show with me, was playing on that team. I think he was one of the guys that lifted Jerry Stovall up on the field after the game. There's the Pigs Fly game. There's it's a lot of history. A lot of history just from my point of view. Like, my break into college radio when I switched out of engineering was 1979. And that year LSU had home games with USC and Alabama. They were both number one in the nation. Wow. 2 bitter losses. I think one was 3-0, and one was 17-12. The Benji Thibodeau
face mask.
Game. And the seniors that were doing those broadcasts were like, we can't do any better than this. Like, we've just seen 2 of the greatest games in the history of Tiger Stadium. We're out. So I stepped in and did the Kentucky game that year, which was a game where LSU was losing like 19-3. Kentucky back in the day was a pretty good team. They actually won the SEC in 1977, and they came back and won like 23-19. That was my first ever LSU play-by-play experience. Wow. And it was like I was just –
hold on.
Yeah, like I could do this forever. And it's interesting, Chris Blair was in here, right? Because at one point I thought that would be my career. I would just jump into play-by-play because I –
Did you apply for that job when it opened?
Which one?
The play-by-play.
Oh, no. I mean, that's, I'm talking about when I was a young person. Like when I got into sports, it was not to do the news. It was to do play-by-play. I'd grown up listening to all the great SEC play-by-play guys. I'm from Savannah, so it was Georgia, and they had a quarterback at Tennessee that was from Savannah. And then in Hattiesburg, it was Ole Miss, LSU, Alabama, all
Auburn.
I mean, every Saturday you could hear some
Larry
great
Munson
game.
at Georgia?
Yeah. So
Run. What did he say? Run. Who was it?
Run Lindsey Lindsey Scott.
Run. That's right. That's right.
But like Mike Cavan they were a really good team in '68 when I was a 9-year-old. So that's why I thought this would be something I could do. And I did some play-by-play. I did some Tiger Vision games. Right. I did the famous Chris Jackson, Glenn Glass game on Tiger Vision up in Oxford, 53 and 55 points, the overtime game. Wow. So I've done some of that. When Tiger Vision went under, I worked for the same guy that did Tiger Vision. He did College Sports Network. I got to do a Joe Dumars game. And, of course, we all know what he ended up being in the NBA. So. But, yeah, that's why I got into it, was to do play-by-play.
So tell me what you're doing now.
I mean, it's going to be hard to make this concise, but my oldest son, Jeff Schneider.
Congratulations, by the way.
Well, it's not his kid.
Okay.
he's like one that hasn't come through in that regard yet, but we're hopeful. My second son, Andrew, and his wife, Anna, had a child last night, and we got the pictures this morning, so that's our third grandson.
Wow.
Third grandchild, second grandson. They're both named William, 2 different families.
Wow.
But my oldest son, Jeff, went to LSU, had helped with Sportsline back in the day when he was a kid. Wanted to go into TV. I said, don't go into TV, go into PR. And he did. and he did PR at LSU, and he did PR at a school in Tennessee, and he had a job offer in Oregon. I was going to drive him across the country, and then the AD at the school he was at doubled his salary, and he stayed. He was going to get a job at Stetson when they brought back football because the people in the same conference were impressed with him. He moved home for 2 weeks because he was homesick. He missed the food and his friends, and the guy got fired, and then he didn't have a job. And he said, what are you going to do? I said, you're going to get a job, and he landed at UL Lafayette. Daryl Setnar was going to Ochsner, and that spot was open, and Jeff stepped in and did football and baseball PR. And as you know, the business has evolved, and now PR people have to do digital video and social media and streaming video. So he learned all that, and then he left UL and came to Parkview and did streaming video and taught students and had his own set of interns like I've had. And then something happened at Parkview where they were no longer interested in doing a lot of the stuff that he'd done. So he approached the LHSA and said, why don't you hire me to do, let's go into the 21st century. Let's do video. That's what kids, they walk around with their phone. They want to see videos. And they wouldn't hire him. He said, well, what if you do a contract with me? And so they did, a 7-year contract to create the LHSA network, which will be debuting later this month. It's 24/7, 365 high school sports. The good thing about it is it's set up to be family friendly. So right after the week after the state championships in football, which he's doing along with volleyball and cross country, everybody gets 2 weeks off, kind of like teachers at school. And then we come back in January and we kill it for 5 months or whatever, and then the summers you're off, except for maybe a couple of select things like a coaches convention or whatever. So I'm used to working 14, 16, 18-hour days. Some days will be like that, some days won't, but generally speaking, I get my Saturdays and Sundays off to spend with my grandchildren and my wife and my kids. And in the summers, I'll be able to take lots of vacations to the beach.
So LHSAA.org is where we can watch all the material?
We have a LHSA network, social media. The game, like last week, was the first game that he did, which was the Southern Lab Kentwood game, a great down-to-the-wire game that Southern Lab won 33-31. Tonight's game is Catholic and Zachary. For this first year, it's only Thursday games, and because there was a late start because of the summer and contracts and everything, he's basically just doing these 2 games before playoffs. And it's not likely you would do a Thursday playoff game because everybody typically plays on Friday. Yeah. So the next focus will be volleyball championships, then cross-country championships, and then the state championships will be on TV. He's lined up a partnership with Rev and then Cox, and Cox, YourView, their YourView channel will carry all the state championship games in the Superdome in football this year.
Wow.
They're also doing volleyball and cross country. So we kind of, I guess, he had the attitude, if you want the football, you're going to do all the championships. Because the girls deserve the coverage.
Absolutely.
Volleyball is the most underappreciated sport there is. I've had a couple of really great interns over my career who were volleyball players, and they're some of the most excellent people, let alone athletes. And because of football and the demand for that, they get overlooked a lot. So, by year 2, hopefully we're not doing that. Year 1, we're going to do the championships.
Introduce us to Marley and what her role is.
Sure. Marley Rose is here today. She is officially my last intern. Unfortunately, when she was going to intern is when COVID hit, and a lot of companies wouldn't allow anybody in the building, really. And it just so happened she's a West Feliciana grad, and I had a
Saint.
Yep. Was there in 2017, cheering on the Saints to the state championship. Max Hawkins was another former intern of mine who was teaching at that school, taught her, and they had a camera available. And when we couldn't have freelancers or interns to get Sportsline done, we had to find some people with some cameras to shoot those games. So she stepped up. I think I've told most people she wasn't very good the first time she went out. I've never been good and never will be good. But she's developed into a great shooter with a tremendous potential to be an MMJ, a multimedia journalist, doing social media, reporting. She's doing, as I said, stories like the one on Rohan. The last 2 weeks, she's previewed the games that we're doing. She was at Zachary on, Monday, and had gone to, Southern Lab the week before to preview the games that we're doing. So I probably need to shut up and let her talk.
Yeah. Marley, tell me about your role. What's it been like with the new organization?
It's been great. I create stories. I go out, film football, which is probably one of my favorite things to do, is just be behind the camera filming during the game. I get a little nervous in front of the camera, but I do love it. I'm getting better at it. Creating stories and, learning from Steve is honestly my favorite part.
No doubt. Steve, how can they learn more about what's coming up, what's going on, and keep up with
Well, the LHSA put out a release, and they're doing some publicity for us, but probably LHSA Network is the best place. We have an Instagram page, we have a website, and certainly, Marley's one of the people out there.
Check out the Instagram. It's got everything on it.
So is it LHSAA Network?
Yeah, the Instagram is LHSAA Network. It's got all of our stories. Me and Spencer have been creating for the past couple weeks for the last week's game and then this week's game against Zachary and Catholic. We just put out our new stories yesterday and then the day before. So.
Beautiful. Love it. I love that LHSA is embracing more
content. Well, we're learning as we go out. A lot of people don't even know those letters, but if you tell them what it is, then they kind of maybe frown or whatever. I guess it's just businesses with letters, right? Like the IRS, the NCAA, the LHSAA. Yeah. Like, it's just like, oh, they regulate everything. But there's a lot of good that they do too. A lot of work that goes into making these things successful. And with Marley, with our team, I think the most important thing, the ingredient that works. There's a saying that says, people don't care as much about what you know until they know that you care. Uh-huh. And the people we have working really care about high school sports and what it teaches, the families. And I feel like, we don't know everything in Louisiana. We're bringing in people who know them. They know all the great stories and traditions and stuff, and we're going to learn them just like we learned South Louisiana when we did Sportsline. Yeah. And it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think it's going to be great. I think certainly there's a niche for like 5 stars that play at LSU and the Tigers and the Saints, but I just feel like the state of Louisiana loves its high school sports, and that's why we have so many great athletes, so many great teams and stories and traditions, and all that rises up to Tiger Stadium on Saturday night.
Steve Schneider, the legend, now at LHSAA. You can search the LHSAA network on any of your search engines. You can find them there. As Marley said, hit them on social media, on Instagram at LHSAA Network to keep up with what's happening. A big one tonight in high school football here in North Baton Rouge. This is at Zachary?
Memorial.
At Memorial.
The big house.
That's right, the big house.
Some of the kids are like, it's going to be packed. It's going to be cold. I don't know if it'll be packed.
To pack that place, you got to come strong.
And then Marley and I are going to be over at the Parkview U High game. So 2 great games tonight. But the broadcast, I wish everybody would watch because my son does an excellent job. He's been doing the state championships in the Superdome the last couple of years. So if you've been in that building and you look up at the screen and you see the quality of the video and the graphics and the animations and stuff he does, he's amazing. And now that stuff's going to be on TV here in Louisiana, at least South Louisiana to start, and eventually all over the state. But it'll also be streamed by the NFHS network, which they've been doing for a while, but their broadcasts since he got involved have really stepped up their game.
Steve Schneider, the legend. Marley, nice to meet you.
You too.
Congratulations on everything, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will be back with you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Have a great Thursday. Enjoy it out there. Make sure to hit like, share, comment as we will be back with you. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to the show. 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, built by RMB.
Hey, Chino. Put my headphones up, bro. Right there. Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time. It's the hottest show around, we ain't gotta flex. Call up G, we get it done, we earning our respect. Tell recruits to let us in, where they going next. Throw up the L's, now we lit, band playing neck. From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we live, mic'd up for show. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show. Yeah.